In this video, we're going to look at how to use Microsoft PowerPoint. This video is ideal if you're just getting started using a PowerPoint, whether you're using it for teaching or using it for business or using it for whatever your presentation needs are. This is really the get up and get going with PowerPoint video. So as you can see here, I've got PowerPoint pinned to my taskbar. If you don't have it down there already, you can just hit the search button right here and you can just search for PowerPoint and it'll show up there. I'd recommend you pinning it to your taskbar if you think you're going to be using it in any way kind of regularly. So to get started, I'm just going to go ahead and click on the PowerPoint icon here to open it right up. And you will be brought to this home screen. Now, I should say that if you're using a slightly older version of PowerPoint, even all the way back to, I would say 2007, most of the tips and tricks and ideas that I present to you in this video will be applicable. The skin of the program may look slightly different. The color scheme might be a little different, but for all intents and purposes, the techniques that are used are going to be the same. The menus are going to be in approximately the same place. So right away, what do you get here? Well, you have a home, new and open tab. So home is this guy right here. So you have the option to click on some PowerPoints here from the beginning. You have a blank one. And as we'll see, and this is what I'm going to use for this slideshow or in fact this tutorial, this is the one that I would say most people are going to go to most often. However, you do have a bunch of templates which you can choose right here. And the nice thing about templates is, if you're stuck for an idea, they do have, the font has been chosen for you, the color schemes has been chosen for you already. And, you can click right here where it says more themes and you can get a whole bunch of kind of pre-made PowerPoints, which may suit your purposes. Personally, I kind of like some of them. This one looks kind of okay. Some of them aren't really to my own taste. That's really going to be down to you. You can see here that there's a whole bunch as well. If you select any of these subheadings here, you can see that there are even more. I'd say there's thousands and thousands of presentations. So you could spend as long as you want searching there. Let's have a look here at one more. Diagrams. Let's see what comes up for diagrams. So you have all of these kinds here. So let's just, click on one of these and, it gives you a little bit of a description once you click on it. And then if you want to go ahead and use that, you just hit create. And from in this description pane here, you can click these forward and back arrows to cycle through all of these templates that are available to you. So you could really spend hours just searching through all of these different PowerPoints. So there are presentations, just themes, ones that are good for education, charts, diagrams, business, and infographics. Any amount of things there. Then you also have here your open, and what open will allow you to do is open will let you open things from your computer. So you just go to this PC or browse, and that will let you open PowerPoints that you may have. For example, if one has been emailed to you and you downloaded it into your downloads folder, you would open it. One option would be to open it from here. You could also just open it directly from the file itself. However, as I said, let's go to home here. We'll deal with the other options in later videos, this account and feedback, etc. But let's jump right into it and open up a blank presentation. So you can see right away here that while it says this is blank, it kind of has something already. It says click to add title, click to add subtitle. Now it should be said that these are what are called placeholders. So this, where it says click to add title, this is not actually on the slide itself. It's just a placeholder. And you can see this is like a little preview of the slide itself, what it will look like when you present it. So if I just go ahead and click and go, my first title, and I can highlight that, and then I have my usual formatting options. So I could make that bold, I can make it underline, all of these usual things. And there's a nice option here that not a lot of people know about, is this change case option. So I can put this into capitalize each word. Okay, so now that we've got some basic text on our first slide, let's look a little bit more at the interface itself. So right up at the top here, this is where most of your controls are going to be located, or a few more controls here along the bottom, but this gray area here along the top, and it's organized quite well. So first of all, you've got tabs. So that was my file tab, brings me just back to my home menu. You have your home tab, you have your insert tab, draw, design, transitions, etc. Within each tab, then you have a bunch of tools, and then those tools are grouped together. So you can see here my clipboard tools, my slide tools or options, my font tools or options, etc., etc. Now, there's a little something more to know about each of these groups. You may notice here that there's a little square with an arrow in some of these, and this is what is called a launch button. Under any of the tabs, you will find these where applicable. So let's see if there's any more here. There's another one. Animations doesn't seem to have any, but there's a lot here in the home tab. And what these buttons are called is the launch button. Basically, Microsoft has done its best effort to group as many options as possible without overpopulating and overbunching all of the tools that are available to you here. So if there are more available to you, you will find this little square with an arrow, and once you click on it, it gives you, well, before you click on it and just hover your mouse on it, it gives you this little pop-up box, which gives you a little bit more information. So it tells you this one here is about font, customize your text using advanced font and character options to give it the exact look you want. You can add a variety of styles and colors to your text, as well as visual effects like strike through, subscript, and all caps. So a lot of those options that it's mentioning there in the description are available. Like there's strike through, here's text color or font color, there's a highlight color. I've already showed you this one about how you can change the case. But let's hit this launch button and see what we get. So you see now that there are even more options where you can really drill down into it. You can state what type of text you're going to be using there, whether it's heading or body text. The font style, now that is, as you can see here, that's controllable with these buttons here. So sometimes they are repeated, but you have just even more options. And then within these launch windows, you have even more tabs. So notice here at the top, there's another tab here for character spacing. And basically all of these are just more advanced controls for the ones which are available to you in the group, which is within the ribbon, which is under the tab. So I'll just go over that again. You have tabs, all of this is your ribbon, and then you have groups, and within groups, you have your controls. It's very useful to get familiar with that terminology from the outset, because when you search for tutorials like this one or do other Google searches on what you're looking for, it's good to know, oh, I'm looking for the ribbon, or it's under this tab or that tab. So that will be more useful to you. Okay, so that's enough about the controls and the tabs and the ribbon and all of that when it comes to PowerPoint. But you know, it's time to look at how to build an actual PowerPoint. So, as I mentioned right at the beginning, once we landed here, this right here where I've written my first title, this is a slide, and this guy over here is a thumbnail. This is a representation of what will be presented to the viewer in the end. And you can see anything you add here will be represented. Okay, so let's create our first PowerPoint together. And this one, I am going to call it my travels. And let's say I can, in the subtitle here, I can put my name. So I'm going to go by Fergus Fadden. And you can see as you do that, it also populates over here on your thumbnail. Okay, now that we've added some text, we're up and running. However, it's a little bit plain looking. So we can very quickly get it looking a lot more professional if we go over to the Design tab, and you can see right away here we have a bunch of themes that we can just select. You see if I even just hover over them, it changes to that theme. Now you might think here, oh, there's only a few to choose from, pretty limited options. But if you click, not the first one here, because this will toggle through them, but if you click this second arrow here, it will give you a drop down of a whole bunch more themes, and then you can even browse for themes, and that will bring you back to that home screen that we saw in the beginning. But I'm happy enough with this theme right here. Now you might notice here it has some colors here which aren't showing up on the slide. This is just telling you the color scheme, or the palette really, that will be used in further or subsequent slides within that theme. So I like blue, so I'm going to go ahead and use this one. Now right away you'll see from time to time that PowerPoint wants to help you with your design, and it auto generates a bunch of, as it calls, design ideas here. Now you can go ahead and select any of these, and it will straight away update your slide. And you can click at the bottom here and it can give you even more. Let's look at this one. I like this. That's quite professional looking. It'll give you a little accessibility notice. We'll talk about that in a subsequent video when we get to more intermediate and advanced levels with our use of PowerPoint. Okay, so I started off by just adding text to a blank slide. I changed the theme. PowerPoint gave me some suggestions, and now I have a really professional looking first slide for my travel. So I'll just hit the X there and get rid of that. Okay, so now that I've got my first slide, it's time to add some more slides. So let's jump back over to the Home tab. And Microsoft has organized this quite well, so it puts pretty much everything that you most commonly use under the Home tab. Then within the Slides group, we can see right here there is a new slide button. Now you see here when I hover over it, it kind of changes the area. The top area is just the button itself, and the new slide with the little triangle there will give me a drop down. So let's just click the top of it, so we just get a new slide right away. Now you can see right away that it looks a little bit different in terms of layout. What Microsoft does, and PowerPoint itself, it recognizes that the first slide is most likely going to be your title slide, and it lays that out appropriately. Then for every new slide after that, it gives a new kind of content slide layout. So let's just add some text to this, and I'm going to say, just say countries. And let's just add some content here. So some countries I've been to include France. Oops. France. I've also been to Spain. I've also been to Brazil. I've also been to the United States. Okay. So now maybe I don't love this layout. So what can I do about it? Well, I can change the layout from this thumbnail, and I go over to it with my mouse and I right click on it, and then I can go down here to where it says layout. So what PowerPoint is doing for me here, it's giving me a whole bunch of suggested layouts for each slide, and it gives me a little description of what each layout will look like. So this one is title and content, and we can see that that's the one that I am currently using because it's highlighted in gray. If I just want a section header, I would go for this one. Here's one with two contents, and it gives you a little preview as well. Two content, you can see this guy and this guy here, that's a content, and it looks like I have another box there, that's probably a title for the slide. Comparison looks very similar to the two content. I can see there that there's probably even subtitle boxes in there. Title only, blank slide, content and capture, picture and caption. So I have a whole bunch there. So now that I've added some content, maybe I get the feeling along the way, do you know what? I thought I liked this visualization and this design, but you know, I'm changing my mind. I don't love this font very much, and yeah, these two fonts are not really working for me. Well, what's nice is at any moment you can just go back to your design tab, and under the themes again, you can just select a new one. So let's see what we got here. Oh, I like this one here. Let's see. Okay, now maybe that's going to work there. And then again, you see that PowerPoint is going to suggest some ideas to me once again. Let's go for even more suggestions. Okay, and now we're talking. Look at that. Okay. And you know, you can do this at any time. What I like to do sometimes is, you know, if I finish one and then I, you know, use this presentation with a class, or if I use it for a business presentation or whatever it is, I'll save it. And then let's say, you know, after the presentation, I said, maybe that just didn't work. The people didn't seem like they were reacting well to those colors or just the layout. You know, you can save a new version and try something else out. The creative possibilities are truly endless. So let's just jump back over to the Home tab, and remember that I said that this new slide button kind of had two parts to it, and we just clicked on the top part and it just gives me what it thinks is best, and it's going to give me the most generic slide usually if I just click on the top part. But let's click on the bottom part, and what we get then are all of the layout options that we saw when we right clicked on the slide thumbnail. And this is going to allow me a lot more flexibility as I go throughout my presentation creation process. So I'll just demonstrate one of these here to, for example, the two content. And you see then, okay, I've got a better kind of layout for example, if I wanted to compare two things here, two sets of content. Another way of adding a new slide is simply in this area here is to bring your mouse over and right click, and then you get this new slide option. Which is the correct way to add a new slide? There's no correct way. You can add a new slide and you can right click on it and change the layout, or you can go here and just click add a new slide, or you can click the drop down and add a new slide that way. Just find whatever works best for you. And of course, once you have created a slide, you can always delete it or change the layout and go back on what you've done. Really, you're never restricted to the choice that you've just made. You can always undo what you've just done. And speaking of undo, if you hit Control Z on your keyboard, it will undo the very last thing that you did. So the last thing I did was add a new slide, and watch, it will go from 7 slides back down to 6 because I hit Control Z. You can also find the undo options right up here at the very top. So this, if I hit it another time, it's gonna undo what came before that, and we'll go back down to 5 slides, and so on and so forth. The same goes for any edits you make. So if I go, here is a possible title, and if I hit undo, it'll get rid of all that text. Okay, so now we've set up some slides, we've added some text, but we need to make this yet even more visually attractive for the people that we are going to present to. Because, you know, if you just add slides with text, and especially slides with a lot of text, you're probably actually going to end up distracting your audience. So in order to deal with that or improve that, I'm going to go over here to the Insert menu. or excuse me, the insert tab. I'm going to click on my newly created slide 3. And I'm going to change the layout of it. So get something here, content with a caption. Okay, I like this one. And then notice here that I have a bunch of options which I can use right away. And I like this one here, stock images. But I'm going to start off by seeing how I can do this from the insert tab. So look at right here, I have picture. And if I click the drop down from picture, I can insert an image that I have on this device, my computer, stock images or online pictures. So stock images, these are a bunch of really high quality images which Microsoft gives you access to. It usually takes a second for them to load up. So let's say I want some images which will be, appropriate to my presentation about my travels. So I mentioned I've been to France. So let's see if we can find something here. Let's see, I'm going to type in Paris. Okay, there's a nice Parisian bridge. So notice when I hover over, this little dot appears. I'm just going to click on it. And that dot appears because really what I can do is I can select multiple images. Now these 2 are selected and it tells me here if I want to insert 2 in brackets, that's because I have 2 selected. But I don't need this one here, so I'm going to click it again to unselect it. And then I'm going to go insert 1. And because it's smartly created, it's going to insert it there into my placeholder for the image. Now again, I'm going to use the undo just to undo that so we can see the same thing working from just clicking the little icon here. And in that option allows me to upload an image from my computer. Or I can click this one, the stock images, to bring me right back to where I was. And again, if I write in here, Paris, I get the same ones. And then it fits the image to my placeholder right there. Again, PowerPoint is always trying to be my graphic design assistant. And you know what? I'm going to, I like this. Oh, I thought I liked it from the thumbnail, but you know what? With this kind of matte cover on it, it doesn't really work for me. So I'm going to hit the undo, go back, and let's see if there's any other one there. No, I'm happy enough. So let's just add a little title to this, Paris, and add a caption right here. Paris is, of course, known as the city of love. Oh, it's known as many things, but okay. So, I have an image. This is Paris, city of love. And then, I have little or no more text there. And, this is probably a good design idea because you don't want too much text to distract your audience from the message that you're trying to convey with your presentation. Now, say, for example, I wasn't happy with the image that was offered to me from the stock image. Well, I also have this online pictures option. And you see right away here, it's powered by Bing, which of course makes sense because this is Microsoft after all, and that is the Microsoft search engine. You have a bunch of categories here that you can look under. So, let's just choose one there, beach. And give you a whole bunch of images from the web on beach. But, sticking with my theme here, another country I've been to is Brazil. So, and then we got a whole bunch of images here. Let's use this one from Rio de Janeiro of Cristo, o Redentor, Christ the Redeemer, and go insert. Now, this image is, I've realized, oh, whoops, it's on the wrong slide. So what can I do? Well, first of all, you can see here that there are these little handles around the side of the image. And then when I move my cursor into the middle, it changes into this kind of crosshair. And then if I click and drag, I can move the image around. But I'm trying to move it onto this other slide. And you see here, I get this red warning telling me, no, can't do that, won't work. So what I can do, and I realize I'm on the wrong slide. So I'm going to right click the image and I'm going to go cut. And then I'm going to go over to slide 4 and I am going to click and I am going to paste the picture. Right click. So I'll do that again. So I have my placeholder here and I'm going to right click on it, and this option right here, paste options. I can use the destination theme, or I can paste the picture into that placeholder. And then again, PowerPoint is trying to help me with my design all the time, and I'm going to take PowerPoint up on one of its suggestions, and I'm going to click this one right here, and I'm going to go, this guy here is Brazil, and then we're going to say this is Rio de Janeiro. That's my best attempt at the old Portuguese pronunciation, Rio de Janeiro. So already now we're starting to look good. But what about the images themselves? Let's go back to image 3 here. Let's say I want this to be bigger. Well, all I have to do then is click on the image. And again, you see these handles. If I simply click on one and drag it out, it will increase the size. Now, it may look a little bit kind of, the position might not be working anymore. It might be too big for my text. And, let's say I want to move it so that it's perfectly aligned in the middle of this slide. So let's get it horizontally aligned. So I'm just going to click and see this red line that appears? That is telling me that red line is running through the very middle of the kind of the equator, as it were, of the slide, and it's running through the center of the image. So that is telling me that now my image is aligned to the center of the slide, and you can see that again in the thumbnail. The same thing is true if you click it and drag it over to the center. Now I have 2 crosshairs. This is telling me now that it's vertically aligned and horizontally aligned. But of course, now you see I'm covering some of my text there, so I don't want that. I'm going to undo this again because really it was fine the way it was in the beginning. So as I go designing my PowerPoint, I may want to see how it's going to look when I actually present it, because when you present, you're not going to present within the design interface, as it were. You're going to present just the slide on your screen. And in order to do that, I mentioned at the beginning here, we've got some more controls down here in the bottom right. And in particular, you're going to look for this one right here. And if I hover over it, it says slideshow. Now watch what happens when I click on that. My slide goes into full screen view. When I move my mouse around, you see I get some more controls there, and this is just go to the next slide, go back to the previous slide. I can click on this to draw on the slide. You have some extra options there. But if I just click my mouse on the slide, it's just moving through the slides. Now, how do I get back to editing? Well, I tried double clicking there, nothing worked. So if I want to get back to my editing mode, I simply hit, listen to this. That was me hitting the escape key on my keyboard. Okay, you simply need to hit escape on your keyboard. Okay, so let's recap what we've done so far. So we've seen that there are tabs, ribbon, tools, groups. We've seen how to add new slides. We've seen how to insert images. We've seen how to use the design to change our themes. And we've also seen how to present our presentation. So we're pretty much ready to go. There's one last thing that I want to show before we finish this off. so that we can make our presentation a little bit more dynamic. You may have seen this in presentations that you've attended already, and that is the Animations tab up here. So when I present this slide, let me just show you, everything just appears all at once. So let's say that I want, first of all, this to say countries, and then for these to appear one by one. Well, there's a really simple way to do that. So I'm going to hit escape on my keyboard to get out of the presentation mode. And you can see here, because this bounding box is showing up with the handlebars on it, that I have this selected, and you can see that my cursor is flashing there. If I click out of it, now I'm no longer editing in there. And let's say I want to click over here on this one. Now I'm editing in here. So what I want to do is I want to click on my countries over here, and I'm going to bring my mouse up to the top onto anywhere along the surrounding bounding box line, and you notice that it changes to a kind of a crosshair. And when I do that, you notice that my cursor disappears. So watch again. I'm going to put my cursor back at the end of letter E. See it flashing there? And now I'm going to put the crosshair on the bounding box, click, and the cursor disappears. And what that is telling me is that the whole box is selected. And this is what you want before you go and select an animation option. So I have my box selected. I have the Animations tab selected. And now I want to select one of these animations. So I want this text to, let's say I want it to fade in, and it gives me a quick preview. That's really nice. And it's telling me here 1, 2, 3, 4 that those have faded in one by one. And let's see how that happens. So I'm going to just have a quick look here and notice that my text isn't appearing right away, but if I click, then the animation starts, click again, next animation, click again, next animation, click again, next animation. Now let's say I wanted that that animation happens all automatically without me having to click it. Well, there's a way that I can set that up. Hit escape again to get back to my editor. And what I can do here is I can click on Effect Options. Okay. So here it says by paragraph. By paragraph basically tells me that they're going to appear 1, 2, 3, 4. But I can do this all at once. And then let's look at how that appears. Now it's telling me 1, 1, 1, 1. So again, okay, now I get them to appear all at once. Okay. So that's adding animations. Now there are many more options again, which we will dive much deeper into in later intermediate and advanced videos. But for the time being, I would recommend that, when you set up your text boxes, that you play around with the various animation options. You can have them appear in many different ways there. Okay, so now I've been working on this for long enough. It's been a long day, so I want to finish off work on this PowerPoint, and let's say I want to come back to it tomorrow. So in order to do that, I need to save the PowerPoint. So what do? I go along the ribbon here and find the File tab, which we looked at the very beginning. And it's going to bring me back here. Now I have a whole bunch of options here along the left. Now imagine you hit the file option and you're like, oh, wait, no, I've got some more time. I want to go back and edit it. Well, just hit this back arrow and it brings you back into the editor. But let's say, I'm at the end of the day, it's been a long day and I want to save my work. So I'm going to hit File. And I'm going to then, these are the two options which I use the most. Now you do have a lot more options. You can have here like info, it tells you, some properties about your PowerPoint, etc. To be honest, I never use any of these. What I really use here are my save as options. If I just hit save, it's going to save it where it thinks is the most appropriate place, maybe here to my downloads folder. But where I want to save this, I want to save as, And these are some recent places, so I can save it on my OneDrive. But where I want to save it is somewhere particular on my computer. So I'm going to hit the Browse option, and I want to save this on my desktop. So you see here that it's already giving my PowerPoint a name, and what it's doing, it's usually pulling that from the title. So whatever you've put on your title slide will usually come up here. I'm just going to adapt it a little bit, and I'm going to write here my travels slide presentation. Okay, and then simply hit save. And voila, we're done. And you can see up top here, it has changed the name of the file. It tells me that it is now saved on this PC. So I can now, in full confidence, hit close. Now that's how it will appear when you open up your computer. It will be on your desktop if that's where you have saved it. However, let me show you another little trick. So I'm just going to open PowerPoint again, and we can see now under the recent here, my travel slide presentation. So it makes it super easy to get right back into it. I'm just going to close out PowerPoint again and show you, I can just, if I want, double click the saved file from my desktop and it will do the same thing for me. So that's it for this tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope that you found it useful. Please do look out for me on my social media, which you can find here on this image, which I've just brought into PowerPoint. So you can find me on Twitter at Fergus Teacher, Facebook, I'm at Integrated Skills. I also have an Instagram on Integrated Skills. So please check me out on those social media. Please do also consider checking out my YouTube channel. Here you'll find a bunch of videos focused on everything from productivity for teachers or productivity for you at work. I also have a podcast which I do with other teachers from time to time, and you'll find also more tutorials here for Microsoft Word, other platforms, even some here for PowerPoint where you'll find this one. So please do go over to my channel, which is at Integrated Skills. Please do hit the subscribe button so that you subscribe, so that you get more of these kinds of tutorial videos. Please do, once you find a video that you like as well, if you find it useful, please hit the like button. Share this video on any of your own platforms if you think that somebody else might find it useful. And please do leave a comment below. The comments really help with engagement for my channel. Look out for further videos in the future, and thank you so much for watching this one. See you in the next one. Bye for now.